Hey there, Start here. So after doing Rafflesia Advanced, I said I would do an intermediate version as well, and in true sort of budget fashion, I'm going to bring my EX+0 Esther into this fight. Honestly, an EX2 Chizuru can almost solo this one herself. And Chizuru is objectively a better unit to bring to this fight just because she has so much plant killer in her kit and a huge plant killer buff. But if you don't have a Chizuru and you happen to have your EX+0 Esther lying around, then just grab one on your friends list. Hopefully you've got some people on your friends list that have Chizurus. And honestly, even if they're not perfectly set up for the trial, if you can find an EX2 Chizuru or better, you can almost guaranteed to knock this trial out in 4 turns or less. And so I just grabbed a Chizuru friend off the list. And wasn't one that I had somebody ask. I didn't ask this person to build this one for me. They just happened to have it built, and it was on the friends list, so I picked it up. The rest of the team is all fairly budget, and so I'll go through the gear real quick here. Narshmog is here as our passive provoke unit, so you see I've given him Moogle Charm, Runda's Shield, and Tulian's Gauntlet. That gets him at 100% passive provoke. Then you just want to make sure he's got some status immunity, so I gave him here Pin of Purity. You see I gave him Unsweet Clothes. That gets him up past 100% water resistance, because I have Leviathan Esper equipped as well. The Moogle Spear's not required. I just threw that on him because, well, he's a Moogle, so he needs a spear. I can't give him his STMR because it's two-handed, and we need that slot for Runda's Shield. In the materia slots, Eye of the Dragon, that's so he can chain with Esther on turn 2. It's not absolutely required, so if you don't have it, don't worry about it. It's just so Esther has somebody to chain with on turn 2 to do a little extra side damage. But it's absolutely not required. His TMR is not required either. I just threw it in there. Rage Beast's Roar is required, however. That is going to be useful for dispelling the water imperil on him on turn 3. First Rate Treasure Hunter, that is 5-star Locke's TMR. And that gives charm resist. You want to make sure everybody is charm resistant on this trial, because there's a chance that people can get charmed. He doesn't have a vision card, so you don't have to worry about that. Pretty simple. Beatrix is going to be our mag tank, and really she just needs at least 100% water resist and then just some bulk. Also gave her First Rate Treasure Hunter. Hopefully you've got plenty of 5-star Locks lying around to just throw some Moogles at. That is the easiest and most easily accessible form of charm resist in the game. So that's where you're going to get your charm resistance there for a lot of these, and for a lot of these units that don't have it innately. Esther does have charm resistance innately, so you don't have to worry about it. So here's the build we're taking. One piece of Magister's gear for the chain cap boost. Tyvis's Gauntlet to cap off her limit burst damage. Some plant killers to cap that off as well. GF extension just for a little extra stats. And then Ling's card. Again, trying to do this in a somewhat budget build here. Oh, sorry, let me just show you. So she is capped on plant killer and LB damage there. That's all she really needs. Cacteria is going to be hanging out in her Brave Shift form the whole time. So here's what I built. I did give her just a little bit of, I decided to keep some gear on her. She's not going to do that much damage, but she can contribute a little bit. So I did give her some plant killers, and again, another First Rate Treasure Hunter for that charm resist. If you have other gear you can use for charm resistance, I know a lot of that stuff's limited, or maybe from like premium units. For example, Neovision Tifa's STMR has charm resistance on it, so that's another another charm resist like super ribbon, but that's a limited piece of gear. So I just figured, you know, this is the most widely available and easily obtainable form of charm resist for your units. So that's why I'm showing that one here. All right, and that's my team. Let's take a look at my friend here. All right, because there is a 5-unit mission on this one. So as long as the Chizuru that you've picked up has their STMR, TMR, their card, they innately come capped on plant killer, so you don't even have to worry about that. You see this unit has 2 Crescent Moon charms, which does have null charm on it, so this unit is safe from being charmed, and I believe it's pretty much exactly the same in both builds. Yep. So both, you know, both have exactly the same. Since it's not an EX+3 Chizuru, you notice they do have a Magister's, a piece of Magister's gear for that chain cap boost. And we've got, yep, 300 limit burst, 300 plant killer, and the brave shift. That is all you really need. Chizuru should very self-sufficient on this trial, doesn't need very much in order to take this one down quickly, especially on the intermediate level. All right. So let's just go ahead and get in there. I fully intend to annihilate this thing on turn 4 in one big burst. All right, let's do it. All right. So turn 1, Bacteria is just going to do some breaks, Million Needle Assault, Deadly Drought for an Earth Imperil, and then Desert Fury. She will do a little bit of chaining next turn, so we need to make sure we have a decent Imperil so that her attacks aren't fully resisted. Narshmog is going to do Veil to make sure everyone is ailment resistant. Beatrix is just going to cover. Alright. Chizuru is going to do Eastern Winds, Strong Samurai, and Orochi Blade, because we are going to go Wind Element on this one. Okay, Esther will just set up for her Limit Burst next turn. Okay. Alright, so, yeah, you can see the damage is very, very minimal. With Cacteria's huge breaks and Beatrix's innate bulkiness, yeah, should have no reason to fear Beatrix ever dying. If your Beatrix isn't as bulky, you saw I gave her Phoenix Esper to use Phoenix Guard so she can re-raise on herself, just in case the plant decides to do the party-wide Water Imperil. Okay, and then Narshmog will do Eye of the Dragon. Esther will LB Bacteria. Just going to triple Desert Fury. And Plant Pulverizer for Chizuru. That's to get the plant killers for herself and for the party. Now for herself, it does a 250% killer, and then 150% for the rest of the party. So this is why Chizuru is really just going to carry this fight. Alright, so we'll start Chizuru, and then Mog and Esther. Okay, it's a decent little chunk of damage there. Alright, Mog now needs to dispel himself using Rage Beast's Roar. Alright, Cacteria will do Armor Breaking, Magic Breaking, and Power Breaking Needles. Beatrix, that is not what I want to do. Beatrix is just going to do her Cover and Saintly Protection again, to re-up the mitigations. Esther is going to get ready for another burst here. Alright, we're going to shift Chizuru on this turn and do Devastating Samurai Slash, because this comes with the LB damage boost for herself, as well as the 140% wind imperil, which is going to be, you know, just like if you saw my advanced version clear, alright, the resistances are all the same on the intermediate version, so you still need really big imperils, and that's another reason why we brought Narshmaw, because he's going to bring the imperil field on the next turn, which is going to help us finish the fight. Alright, so Esther and Chizuru are just going to chain it up on this turn. Alright, doing good. Okay, now, I will say that no one on the team is geared for death resistance, and there is still a chance that you could get it. It is most likely, I believe it's turn 1 and turn 3. There is a 10% chance of it happening on both of those turns. Now, that said, 10% is pretty low. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. If it does happen, you just quit the fight and come back and try again. Like I said, this is a quick clear, so it's not too much trouble to just quit and come back. Alright, so Esther and Chizuru are going to LB. Before you do that, make sure Mog puts up the Wind Imperil field. So now we get the benefit of both the LB damage field and the Wind Imperil field. So our total wind resistance is now down to 45%, so that's where you like it. Alright, and this should end the fight, so we're just going to do this, and this ought to finish it up nice and easy. Alright, just make sure you tap Chizuru before you tap Esther, so that Chizuru takes advantage of the Wind Imperil field. If you spark chain, that is fine. Spark chaining is perfectly fine. And there you go. Yeah, Chizuru just blasted it into oblivion. Too easy. Alright, so yeah, all you need to do is just find a decently strong Chizuru on your friends list, and you should be able to knock this out in 4 turns, easy peasy. Alright, obviously the friend carried that fight. Yeah, Esther contributing a little bit. I'm not going to say Esther didn't do anything. She certainly helped Chizuru doing more damage with that LB damage field, and for chaining, of course. But yeah, Chizuru is the real champ of this trial. Alright, and that's your all missions clear on the intermediate version. And stay tuned. I haven't actually done the Izuru's or Isaru's Aeons exploration yet, so I will do that later, and we'll see how I get through that. I'm just going to run it blind, and we're going to see how it goes. Alright, so stay tuned for that, and I will see you on the other side.